So let's quickly start the agenda, and I have fun things planned out. So we're gonna jump in with a quick energizer, and it's just a five finger showdown, right? So if you do something like this, you're basically going to put a finger down. If you have done some of these things, you're basically going
Okay.
to put a finger down, right? Awesome. So
Okay.
right, can say thank you in five languages. I think I can say in four. So
I was thinking I've got to 4.
yeah.
Oh, MFC, so I can say it in 5.
Yay!
Ah,
Oh my gosh, yes. I can
yep,
understand when
figured it
people say
out.
thank you in like a lot of languages, but when they say it in, when I have to
Say it
say it, I'm
yourself,
just like,
right?
yeah. The
Gracias,
sign language?
gracias.
Yeah.
Thank you. FC. Right? No, that's good. All right, cool.
Okay. All right. So, eight fries in the last 24 hours.
No.
No. Visited 10 countries so far.
Oh, yeah.
Yay! Oh my gosh. Okay. I've only ever lived in India, so it's not even a difficult one for me. Ah. Okay.
I've
Adopted.
only lived
Sorry.
in 3.
Oh. But you visited
I've
10.
only lived in 3, but
Nice.
I visited.
Nice. Okay. I've adopted a pet.
Yes.
Knit something wearable. Made pizza from scratch.
Like the dough from scratch too, or just the pizza part?
I mean, whatever makes you feel good.
I've never made pizza dough.
Oh, I have. It's super dope. Oh my gosh, it's a bit of an annoying process, but it's also very satisfying.
A lot
It's
of
like a guilty
pulling,
pleasure.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. Have a tattoo.
Oh yes.
Talk to yourself a lot.
Yeah, all the time.
Oh my gosh, cut your own hair. I have done that.
Uh
I
huh. Literally did it yesterday.
amazing. All right, so I guess like we are already down five, both of us. So that's a good icebreaker and a good thing to know about you. Like if I ever have to cut my hair, but I don't wanna, I can always come to you across time and space. We'll bring it all together.
Right. We'll just make a quick trip. It's
Yeah,
totally cool. Absolutely worth it for a
let's make
haircut.
our own. Oh my god. All right, let's move on to the next agenda, which is all about understanding self love. And I'm gonna I'm gonna open this up, and if you can write, can you tell me what does self love mean to you?
It's still thinking. Here we go. Here we go.
Okay. And no wrong answers, right? Like,
Right.
yeah. And whoever's watching this later on in the replay, please feel free to let us know what does self love mean to you as an individual in the comments below. Ooh, okay. Time and here. Could you expand on that?
Yeah. So it is. Just cool. It just kind of starts populating different things.
Yeah.
What I the and? I don't know. That one works for me. What I the and that's mm, abstractly accurate. It's really just taking the time to find out what it is that I want and need.
Nice. Ooh, I love it. I don't know if you can do this. Yeah, but I think, can you try adding a few more responses?
Oh
Not
yeah, yeah,
sh-
yeah. Let's see.
yeah,
Another.
taking the time to hear what
Let's play
I
with this.
want and
Let's
need.
play with this.
We can have this in standard and then put it together in the word cloud because it looks fun. Celebrating wins and lessons, taking care of me so I can take care of you. Ooh, I love that. Ooh, you know what? Can you add can you add a few things from my end as well? Um
Yeah.
just
See.
words. So I think for me self love means passion. It means self fulfillment. It means reconnection. Oh, I love that.
I can't add them. It won't give me any more options to add.
Oh no, hold on. Let me see what I can do. Answer. Okay, I mean, it's cool. I get we have a few things here and I love them. Let's see how it works in the word cloud, taking care of. I love it. Okay, so I'm gonna close the poll, but then let's have a conversation around what self love means. So, for
Yeah.
me personally, I feel like self love is this moment of I said three words, right? Passion, self fulfillment, and reconnection. I think for a really long time, self love didn't mean much to me, right? Like it was maybe something that I did subconsciously, like, oh yeah, spend time reading books or dancing to music or singing out loud. But there was never a proper understanding of what self love meant. What does this word mean? And I think it can be very heavy suddenly, especially I think we can all practice self love a lot of the times when we are in the good zone. But when we are in the bad, when we are in the trenches, it gets so difficult. It's like, why? How? I
Yeah.
don't even want to do it, right? Like, what is your experience with self love? Like, what does self love mean to you as an individual? And then maybe we can explore because I wanted this to be a exploratory workshop. First time I'm doing something like this, so bear with me.
Ah, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, very well. Um, so I also had a really hard time with the concept of self-love, um, specifically as it translates to self-care. So I found
Mm.
that I was fine at loving myself, thinking nice, like really sitting down, looking in the mirror and talking to myself like a friend and not letting that inner critic be the loud voice, like caring and loving for who I am. But when it translated to having to like do the things that made me feel loved, I was like, but what is that?
Mm.
uh, and coming to the realization that it's transient, right? Like, so what makes me feel loved and supported a month ago isn't the same as what it does now. Am I talking?
No, I absolutely love what you're trying to say here, and I think it makes a lot of sense, right? Like, giving self love is something very unique on its own, but when it transitions into self care, it starts to get a bit. How do I go about this? How do I explore this? Right? Like because it's very weird, And I think this is one of the reasons why I wanted to host this workshop, was that transition from self-love to self-care, and understanding that a lot of times while we might be used to giving ourselves, like, looking in the mirror, saying positive affirmations, which is great on its own, when it transitions into self-care, suddenly we are in that icky spot where we don't know how to receive. Like, those barriers of self-love come up, and we are like, I can talk the talk but not walk the talk, because it's very difficult to do that, right? Oh my gosh, so cool. Whew. Yeah, let's move on. I'm liking where we are going with this. I wanted to, let me increase the time so that we can write for longer durations. 10 minutes and save. All right, let's get started with this. So, before we jump into this part of the session, I actually want to do something dope. And are you down to be in a quick meditation with me? Just something that
Mhm.
came up for me. So, if you're down, right, you can move your body around, get relaxed into the chair wherever you are, and this can be done by all of you amazing human beings watching us on the replay as well. Let's take a few deep breaths in through the nose, hold it for a minute or a second, and breathe out slowly. Get really comfortable. Breathe deeply for as long as you want. Listen to the music. Allow the music to flow through you. Continue breathing deeply. And then, once you feel centered, once you feel grounded, you can place a hand on your chest, right where your heart is beating. You can feel the pulsations of your heart beating against your palm, just as you feel the music move through you, move around you. Focus in on those vibrations. Keep breathing deeply. And then ask yourself, what does self love mean? Just leave it out there. Ask your own self that question and just leave it out there in the vacuum, in the void. And then notice whoever answers you. Who is this? Who is this version of you that is showing up? Is this you as a kid, as a teenager, as an adult? You in your funky hair phase? Who is showing up? Focus in on their details. Feel free to hold their hands or just be present with them. As you get comfortable in their presence, look around you. Where are you? Where are you guys located? What does the scenery around you look like? Focus in on those details as you settle down. Maybe you like to stand, maybe you like to walk, maybe you like to sit down. Whatever your inner self is calling you out to do that. And as you get comfortable, ask yourself once again, what does self love mean to us? What does it look like? What does it feel like? Why is it important that we practice self love? What does practicing self love look like? What are some of the things that we can do that feels like self love? Take notice of all the things that are showing up for you, all the things that your inner self is telling you. Imagine yourself doing that with your inner self, doing all those wonderful things just for a brief second, almost as if you're watching a movie, looking at those important scenes, important parts of the movie. Just take a look of those things. Sit with yourself and ask yourself, what does that feel like? What does imagining these things feel like for you? Remember to take deep breaths. Experience and embody all those things that are showing up for you. And now I want you to pick one of those things that you imagined yourself doing with your inner self and tell yourself that you're going to do it. What are the thoughts that are showing up for you? Are they good, bad, or a mix of both? If it is good, keep a note of that. Feel into that, feel into those things. And if it is bad, what are those thoughts that are showing up for you? What do these thoughts look like for you? Take a note of those things because these, at its very core, are the barriers that show up when we try to practice self care. Once you have an idea of both the good and bad thoughts, to come back to the inner self, come back to the situation scenario you were in with your inner self. Give yourself a hug or squeeze your hands tightly and thank your inner self for sharing these insights, these thoughts, these experiences with you. Stay there for a couple more seconds. Continue taking deep breaths. Experience the experience. And then once you're ready, I invite you to slowly rub your palms together, press them on your eyes, on your face, and slowly come back. Oof. Hello. How did that feel for you?
That was cool.
Yeah. You wanna talk about it? I mean, no pressure. If you wanna talk about it, talk
Well,
about
so
it.
the thing,
Yeah.
yeah, the thing that the, the message that came through the loudest was self-hate is something we practice really easily, and that's kind of like living while drowning, right? And so self-care is like suddenly being able to breathe underwater.
Dang, that's powerful.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
Yeah.
Wow. What was. Are you comfortable talking about where you were? What did
Oh
that
yeah.
scenario look like? Situation look like?
Uh, so the it was odd that this time it was different. So usually when I do a inner self talk, I have a whole team and we have like a room that we're in. But we weren't. My sister recently sent me this picture of a underwater sunroom.
Nice.
Yeah. Because we've been fantasizing about how cool it would be if you could like have a sunroom, but have it be like under a pond, so people could go, so you could like literally exist with other people while they have no idea you exist. And so she sent me a picture of it. So we were in that room, and then that was the message, was that you can essentially be in the sun while being underwater. You can breathe while being underwater. You can have all of them.
Hmm. I love that. Oh my gosh. Awesome. I love that so much. Awesome. Let's step into understanding and identifying some of the barriers for self-love. And once again, you can respond to these things down like via the messages, via the chat option. And for all you wonderful people out there who's watching the replay, please let me know what that experience, what that meditation experience looked like for you. What did that feel like for you? What were some of the good ideas you had about practicing self-love, and what were some of the barriers that came up for you? Self-hate, breathing underwater, have it all through the ages. I love that. Next, expand on that. I mean, yeah, if you want to.
I think we kind of already covered is the thing is we are pre-programmed to believe certain things, and in our own self we can create our own reality, and the more we lean into that, don't fall for what we have been told is what it is, the easier we can find that path to self and loving whoever that self is.
I love that. I think personally for me, my some of my biggest barriers of self love are thoughts like I don't deserve it, I shouldn't be doing something like this, what have I done to earn something like this. And the thing is, as I explore it, and this is something that came up for me during the meditation we just did, was that when you look a bit deeper into it, you realize that there are two situations that can happen. This is true for me. I don't know how many, how much it is true for other people, but for me personally, it is my own inner self that comes from that trauma wound of being an ambitious person. And once again, being ambitious is amazing. No one says that it's bad. It's amazing. I love being ambitious. But however, there are some beliefs that kind of intertwine into that really positive and empowering thing and drag us down. And some of those beliefs are, I'm not good enough, I should try harder, I should do more, I should be more, the I am not enough, the mores, they all keep coming up. And it comes from that inner child that is striving for praise, that is trying for being heard, of being seen, of being loved and cared for, of being told that whatever they're doing is enough, it's more than enough, right? And I think for me personally, it all comes down to that. It comes down to just sitting with my inner child and reminding them that what we're doing is, it's more than enough. We are doing it, we are showing up as much as we can. Hi there. No, yeah, but I think that's really true for me. That rings really true for me, because the other thing that happens, I don't know, Kara, what do you think about the statement that I just said before we jump on to the other thing?
No, I think that that is true. I think that what I heard in what you said is shoulds. There are so many
Hmm.
what I should do, and how there it's almost transactional. Like
Hmm.
if I do this, then I get to be loved,
Yeah, yeah,
rather than you are, and that is love, and you are lovely, and just by breathing, do you deserve that?
yeah. No, oh my gosh, I love that. I absolutely love that. I think the second thing that shows up for a lot of people is things that they've heard other people say. You know what I mean? Like things closest to them, the people around them have probably told them some of the things that you need to. Once again, I think coming back to transactional, because that is what shows up for me a lot. But then this can be multiple different things from multiple other people. But then I think the things that hit the hardest, I think they are all kind of, we can deal with random people on the internet, especially in today's day and age, telling us things that, oh my gosh, it's a blah blah blah. You might get hurt, but then you might move on. But then I think the thoughts that come up from those closest to you, even though said in a lot of power or in moments of sadness, in moments of just misalignment of situations, I think those things stay for such a long time and slowly but surely turn into those limiting beliefs around, oh, I shouldn't love myself because this person said this. Yeah.
Or I can love me, but not this part of me.
Oh, yeah.
Like I love me, but I'm sorry, did you just butt on love? Oh, don't do that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, there are so many things we can explore. And this is just the beginning, right? Like the reason why I wanted to do this workshop and have amazing people who are watching this live join me. Kara, thank you so much for joining me. I'm deeply grateful. And people who are watching this in the replay, I think it's really important that we create that awareness around what are some of the barriers, right? Because I feel like awareness is one of the biggest step when it comes to handling any situation, because ignorance is bliss, because you don't know what's on the other side. I don't know if that's landing for you, so I'm gonna say that again. Ignorance is bliss because you don't know what's on the other side, right? A lot of us are like, oh, the grass is greener on the other side, let me jump over, and all of these things. Like, we cringe away from situations like that, and I hear you. I hear you. But then a lot of times we don't know what our highest potential is. We don't know what is there for us on the other side, because we are so used to the comfort of the discomfort, right? Like we are extremely uncomfortable in the now, but then we are comfortable because it has been so for a really long time. So why should we change?
Familiar. It's familiar.
It's familiar, exactly. And so I think when this awareness starts hitting, when the awareness of, oh, I like you said, I can breathe underwater. You said something that was really powerful, Ken. I'm gonna say it again, or I invite you to say it again. You said that statement about self-hate and self-love. Please drop that bomb on us all over again, because that was powerful.
Yeah, self self hate is like drowning while living, and self love is like learning to breathe underwater.
Yeah. And it's so powerful, it's so magical, just imagining breathing underwater. I mean, people potentially died when they thought of doing something like this back in the age, like, oh, let me try breathing underwater, and nothing happened. And then here we are, being in underwater sunrooms. I mean, that's so powerful. I absolutely love it. I absolutely love what you're sharing here, and I think that's what it is. It might be it might be uncomfortable moving on, like traveling from where you are to the greener side of things, right? Because you have to walk, whereas now you can just sit and enjoy. But then it's greener on the other side. Why not go there? Why should we struggle in the self hate? Even though it's easy, why should we do that? If I have the potential to love everyone around me, why not love myself first? Whew, I think this is, I'm loving this, honestly. All right, so the art of receiving. This is where I invite you amazing individuals to once again think of some of those activities that popped up for you, some of those things that popped up for you when we were doing the meditation. What does practicing those self care activities look like for you? What are those activities? What do they look like for you? And then just learning to receive it, right? Like when I spoke about moving from where you are to the greener side of things, it might be difficult imagining yourself running from where you are to there, but start with a walk, right? Like that's the very beginning of things. Like start by walking, start by accepting the tiniest amounts of things, and then learning to receive it fully. And the thing is, I wanted to share a powerful story. And Kara, if you have any stories around the art of receiving, please share with us, because once again, this is an exploratory workshop and I would love to hear your thoughts. um, I think for me, there was this one time that I was having a conversation with a coach, and we were talking about the art of receiving. And I remember I told him, yo, I just can't receive. Like it's not in my blood, right? Like especially people who are in the healing industry, who are in the service industry, we are so used to giving till we are, you know squeezed out, crushed out, and still we are like, hey, but maybe I can do something more. Like I get the emotion, but like let's stop practicing that, right? Like I see so many people are like, oh yeah, I'm a coach, and I am not going to charge for my services. I am in the spiritual industry and I'm not going to charge for my services. Like, are you not spending your time and energy on this? Are you not creating transformations for people? If you are, I think it's high time you start saying yes to learning to receive, right? And I think this is where the transaction comes back. I think people need to learn to be a bit transactional when it comes to providing the things that they provide and learning to receive, right? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. uh, so I am one who has a hard time receiving, specifically from myself, which is interesting. I have less of a hard time receiving from others. And I don't know how this is going to connect, but it keeps coming up, so I'm going to say it out loud. So
Mhm.
when I charge other people for my service, right? I do that not because I think I deserve to be paid for what I'm doing. I do think that, but that's not why. The real reason is because it alleviates an obligation on their end, because they are receiving, they are taking in, they are changing, it's transformational. And if you don't provide them a way to give back for that, then there's this weight, this gap, this I owe you for something because you did
Mm-hmm.
for me. And when
Mm-hmm.
they get to pay, you're like, yeah, you paid for that. And they're like, I did. This is now mine.
Mm.
And I know how impactful that is on the other side. But when it comes to doing it for myself, when I give myself a transformation or a shift, or and I put that work in, I do the walk to the green place. I feel like now I have to walk back and tell other people rather than just sitting down and allowing myself to enjoy that green space.
Ooh.
Like I
Why?
can't, like I, yeah,
Yeah.
like it, yeah, like so I understand how important it is to be able to receive something without caveat because you paid for it, because now it's yours, right? Like when
Mm-hmm.
you give a
Mm-hmm.
service. So why do I have a hard time doing that for myself?
Mm.
I don't know. That just came up. That's interesting. I'm gonna have to ponder that thought for a minute.
Yeah. I'm gonna give you the space to do that, but I absolutely love what you shared. I think that is another thing that kind of keeps us in the loop, right? Because we have the concept of the ecosystem. We have the concept of what I'm giving, I'm receiving, what I'm receiving, I'm giving. That needs to happen. That circulation needs to happen, and hell yes to that. But why not sit down and sit in the change that you're creating? I think that's something that is really powerful, because I often say this. I think a lot of us are addicted to change, right? Like a lot of us are like, I need to change, I need to grow, I need to change, I need to grow. And then when we reach there, when we have done the work, when we have done all the things that we wanted to do to reach a higher potential of our own self, we are like, oh, I'm here. Well, what next? Like, let's slow down, let's sit, and I think this comes from the comfort zone scenario. Like a lot of people are like, I don't want to be in the comfort zone. So there are, and I think this comes down to the balance of things. Like as many people there are who love to be in the space of comfort, there are that many people who hate being in the comfort zone, right? But there's no balance, it's always two extremes. There's never, let's grow, let's learn, let's reach a good place, let's be comfortable in that good space, and then once we are comfortable, once we are ready, then let's move on.
Mm.
Then, yeah, like it's like you feel,
And
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
no, well, so this the language. One of the things that's the reason I've stopped calling the comfort zone the comfort zone. I just hate that language for it, because what the space that we're talking about when we say the comfort zone is not comfortable. If you were actually comfortable, you wouldn't want to leave. Like you wouldn't want to.
Yeah.
But it's familiar, it's recognizable.
Mm.
The discomfort is something you're like, oh, I know this, got this, right? And so as you were talking, for me, big breakthrough on find the comfort zone. What if instead of running away from your comfort zone, you realize that leaving the familiar zone allowed you to find that comfort zone, to grow into that space where you genuinely are comfortable, like, and not just complacent and not just used to it, but genuinely so comfortable you're like, I don't want to get up. For me, that's like imagining being on a beach with your feet in the water and the waves are coming up just enough to get your feet but not your butt, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's a
Yeah.
comfort zone.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I wouldn't leave there. If I could find that, I would just stay there. Now it changes, and that, the tide comes or the tide goes out and it's no longer the same. But What if you went for the comfort zone? If you recognize that the familiar zone is not comfortable, but could be comfortable? Huh. That's an interesting shift to me. I'm gonna play with that for a moment.
Yeah. I absolutely love it. I love the things that you're coming up with. And I think one thing that's really important is, and one analogy that came up for me is that, for example, you are in a kingdom, you are a knight, you are a soldier who's fighting a war. You just came back from the war, and then you move on to another war. That is not going to serve anyone. And that's the same thing that we are doing. We are finishing a war, we are winning the war, or we are losing it. We come back,
Just to
we
wage
don't.
again.
Yeah. Like, why? Let's take a moment to just appreciate all that happened here. All the
Yeah.
all the victories, all the challenges. And let's be real, there is no one on this planet. I'm gonna say this out loud, and I know this is gonna hit a lot of people, but there's no one on this planet who's not struggling with something, right?
Fact.
Everyone is struggling with some situation or another, maybe in their personal life, maybe in their professional life, spiritual life, economic life. Like, you never know, and everyone is struggling with something. But we just beat ourselves up so much because we are struggling. This is where what you said once again lands for me. Self hate comes easy, right? It
Yeah.
comes easy. It's very easy to beat ourselves up about not caring, not being enough, not doing, yeah, not managing everything. Like, who can? We name one person who can manage everything. That's probably God.
Yeah.
Even God has his struggles. Uh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, coming back to the story. Oh my gosh, I forgot only. Okay, so the story that I wanted to share at the very beginning of this segment of the session was, I was having a conversation with a coach once, and I was like, I don't know how to receive. And he gave me a very powerful analogy. He was like, you love to give, don't you? I was like, yeah, I love giving. How would you feel if the person that you're giving something to doesn't want to receive it? You have put in a lot of efforts, you have done everything, keeping everything in mind of this person, and then imagine that that person doesn't want to receive it. And I was just like, I would be heartbroken, and then I would be like, oh my gosh, this is my fault because I should have known better, I should have. And he's like, stop. That is exactly what you make others feel when you don't receive. And I was just like, shit, why you gotta do me like this, man? Like, what the damn hell? Ah, that hit me so hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ain't that the truth, though?
Yeah. And I think that this resonates with a lot of people who love giving,
Yeah.
right? Like, I love giving. Imagine if I'm giving to someone and they're like, I don't want to. I'm like, what? What's my purpose?
But
What am I
but
meant
I
to
made
do?
it for
Yeah, I
you.
made it for you.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we have existential crisis on one hand, and then on the other hand, we have just like, what? I put so much effort, right? And
But
yeah, oh my gosh. And now imagine that person who's giving and that person who's receiving is all you. That hits harder,
yeah.
right?
And how much that's legitimately what it feels like when you don't give that to yourself. How
Mm.
part of you is literally like, but but I work so hard. And the other side of you is like, yeah, that's cool. What next?
Yeah. That is truly me. I'm not even gonna lie. That's so me. Because I mean, I think when we break it down like that, it starts to hit really hard, doesn't it? Like, oh, we are playing the part of both the giver and the receiver, and we're not playing it right. But no, I don't want to say that, because then a lot of people are like, oh, maybe I need to do some research on how I can make this right. Like, no, you need to have a
Right,
conversation with
right.
yourself, right? Like, hold on a second, you need to have a conversation with yourself. You need to ask yourself, what does self love mean? coming back to the meditation we did, what does self love mean? What are some of the practices that you can do that feels good, that feels easy, right? Because when I am struggling, and I have been struggling for the past few a month, let's call it for what it is. I haven't, right? And happens. Everyone has their slumps. In moments like these, it's very easy to beat yourself up. It's very easy to be like, you suck, and you are everything that's wrong with humanity. You are you are the ultimate case study for what people shouldn't do if they want to reach that spot, right? And I used to do that a lot, and there are times when I do that, and then I pause myself immediately because I'm like, I wouldn't talk like
Okay.
that to my friend who's struggling, right? And being a coach and being in this mental health space, we are all very aware of how we should talk to people who are
To
struggling,
other people.
right? To other people, never to ourselves. Like, would I talk to myself that way, right? And if I wouldn't, I need to hit pause. I need to hit pause. Yeah.
I got so I when I used to do massage. I was a massage practitioner, and one of the things one of my instructors told me that I use probably every day to this day, it hits so hard, was imagine that when you are with other people, that every thought that you think gets projected over your head so they can read it. Are you happy with what they are seeing on how you speak about yourself, about them, about what's going on in the world around you? And if it's poor, what could you do?
Hmm.
And I remember being like, no, no one should read that reader board. That's a terrible reader board. It says horrible things about me. It's judgy about the people around me. Oh, I'm going to need to fix that.
Yeah. Oh dang. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I think I would love to hear you guys who are watching the replay. What are some of your stories around receiving? And what is something that you are doing to learn to receive? Because I'm going to caveat this all with, while there are multiple ways that you can receive and have conversations with yourself, go on meditations, go on walks, or just, this is a cool activity that I always suggest to my clients who are struggling with self love and embodiment of their inner child. And that is, make a list of all the things you loved doing as a kid, right? That could be splashing in puddles, eating your favorite ice cream, just lying down on the grass without worrying about if you're wearing white clothes and if your white clothes are gonna stain, or or climbing trees even though you have fallen down like 10 times already, right? Or just going for a run, playing game boy, playing, doing all these weird small things, kissing your baby's head. uh, you probably didn't have a baby back then, but hey. Yeah, and just make a list of all the things you love doing as a kid, and then do it. Once again, start from there. Start by repairing that relationship with yourself and giving yourself that love, because we all deserve it. At the end of the day, irrespective of those excuses that come up for us, irrespective of the could haves, should haves, would haves, and must haves, and all of these things, irrespective of all those these things, you deserve it. Amazing. All right, I'm gonna leave you guys with that, and uh, yeah. So, let's give this a start. Can you tell me what are some of your favorite self love practices? I want you guys to think of some of those things that you used to love doing as a kid that you potentially do even now, and make those your self love practices. Start small. So, for me, it's a lot of times reading comic books, or asking my mom to make me some of my comfort foods, or making it myself. There are times when I've woken up at like 3 o'clock in the morning and made myself some really good, really cheesy pasta. and I love it. Uh, eating my favorite ice cream. There are a lot of amazing self love practices, self care practices. So I invite you guys who are watching the replay to let us know down in the comments what are some of your favorite self love and self care practices. This can also include some of your thoughts from the meditation. So I love Kara's stuff like play dates, coloring, finding pretty rocks. Tell me about it. Oh, I love finding pretty rocks. Like there was a time when I used to just collect rocks. Just be like it's
I
pretty.
I remember the first time I went to somebody's house and they didn't have rocks on their windowsills. I'm like, "Where are your rocks?" And they're like, "What?" I was like, "When you go for walks and you go out in the world and you find a pretty rock, where do you put them?" They're like, and I was like, "Why are your face looks wrong right now? What? What? Oh, you mean other people don't do that? Oh, how sad for them."
Yeah. I love that. How sad for them.
You don't have windowsills full of rocks? Man, boo.
Oh my gosh. Absolutely love that. Also love splashing in water. Oh, that's definitely a
Yeah.
great practice. And I'm gonna invite you guys because it's gonna end now. I'm gonna invite you guys to think about what are some of your self-love practices, and if you need us to hold you accountable. Because if you need me to tell, like, hey Madhurima, I wanna collect pebbles for the next 7 days, and I'm gonna send you a picture of a pebble every single day, a picture of a rock every single day for the next 7 days, because this is what reminds me that hey, I was a kid, love doing this, I'm gonna do it again. Let us let me know. I'd love to hold you accountable for it. I'd love to see your pretty pebbles. I would. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's time we start cultivating those self-love practices and doing them, and have a variety of practices, because I think there are also times when we think of just one thing and then we are like, I'm gonna do this till I die. Like, no, 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 stop. Right? Like, don't put so much pressure on one practice. Do multiple things. There are times when I just want to paint, like take a paper, take my paints and just paint random shit. That's okay. Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah. I I think of it as playing, right? So when you practice self-love, you're really figuring out how to play with yourself. That sounded really dirty when it came out,
It's
but
okay.
that's not what I meant.
It's okay. That
What I
can be what
meant
it meant also.
was
I mean,
also, but what I meant is that it's really, and when you were a kid, you didn't, at least in my childhood, you didn't play with like one toy.
yeah.
You had favorite toys. Now there were favorites and there were the ones, but there was so many options, and what you needed to stimulate yourself changed regularly. So if that was true when our brains were fresh little sponges, why do we think as adults that there's going to be one thing, that
Yeah.
this will be the thing that'll fix it, versus I'm going to make a practice of trying to see what are the ones that I can go back to regularly.
Yeah. And oh yeah. And something that came up for me, like I think a lot of people have that mentality of this is going to be that fix things. Practicing self-love is not going to fix things for you. You are just going to be in a much better space internally to handle whatever life throws at you. Let me give you a really cool example from the stress perspective, right? Because at the end of the day, I'm a stress coach. I love helping people manage their stress. So let me give you an example. Now, our bodies are used to being in a space of homeostasis. This is our normal, this is our regular, right? But then when situations happen externally, our bodies naturally respond to it, and we, our blood starts pumping faster, our muscles clench, we are ready to fight or flight or run away or like just freeze, and all of these different things that happen. And okay, but the thing is, we are not in life threatening situations that require us, like, at least 90% of the time we are not in life threatening situations that require us to be in that high stress response. and s- but the thing is, we stay there even though our bodies are used to handling stress responses in short bursts of time, never in long durations. We stay stuck there, we get hooked on, and we stay stuck there. Now, the thing that makes a lot of people just be like, that's not true, is the fact that while all of this is happening internally, stress is never what is happening. Like, our stress response is internal, but it is caused by external situations, right? So if externally you receive a mail from your boss saying that things are not working out right now, if internally you're like, okay, you know what, I'm just going to take a moment, I'm just going to learn, I'm just going to be in the now, I'm just going to take deep breaths, I'm just going to process this as well as I can, then go and have a conversation with my boss. In situations like that, you won't be stressed out for a long duration of time. However, if your internal is in a very chaotic space, what that is going to end up doing is you are going to be like, oh my gosh, everything is burning, I might get fired, blah 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 blah. You're gonna have all of these thoughts, right? Alright, so if our external is extremely chaotic and our internal is also chaotic, we are always going to be in that stress response for a really long time. However, if we are secure internally, if we can maintain a space of peace and calm, of quiet, of knowing, of being like, you know what, no matter what's gonna happen out there, I'm fine here, I can deal with things here. When we have that internal really tightened up and ready to go, I think no matter what happens externally, stress doesn't affect us that much. We don't stay in that stress response for a really long time. And so that is what this is all about. Practicing self love is not about fixing things, it's about being stable internally. It's about creating that homeostasis for yourself, being in the known, being in the power and energy of things, and being like, no matter what happens outside, I know that I can deal with things to the best of my capabilities right now. And so, yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. Let's move on. Cara, do you have anything else to say? Oh, go ahead.
No, I love that. What I heard there was self love isn't a fix, but it allows you to be so that you can go do the fix.
Love that. Love that so much. Ah! All right. So, any questions? This is the time where we are gonna answer any questions, anything that you want to share. And once again, people watching the replay can once again drop their questions below, and I'll be sure to answer them as soon as I can. But yeah, Kara, any questions from your side of things?
No, I mean, I have lots of things that I now want to go reflect on, but I don't know that I have any burning questions.
That's
It
okay.
was incredible. My biggest takeaways
Hmm.
from today are you can have it all, learn to breathe underwater internally,
Mhm.
and, ask the question. I guess that's, one of the, we assume, we've cultivated a behavior of assuming as adults. That's a very, very common global thing, right?
Yeah.
And and the fastest way to move past that is to just ask. So ask yourself, what would make you feel loved?
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you so much for being here. Anyone watching the replay, thank you so much for watching this. And yeah, please let me know some of your biggest takeaways from what Kara shared or from what I shared. And I would love to see you in our next workshop. I'm planning on doing at least one workshop a month, so keep your eyes on out for that. And I just want to let you guys know that it all starts within. I think I'm going to leave you with that. It all starts within. It's about creating that internal environment and making it something that you would love to live in. Like, we all dream of, oh, my external, like, if I had, this is my dream home, this is my dream vacation spot, this is my dream blah 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 blah, blah. What is your dream internal? Netherland, and ask yourself that question and explore that. And if you need support with that, please feel free to reach out to me. And an invitation which I love to give to people, if this landed for you, if you need more support with this, because, and Kara knows this because this is something that I've been planning for a while, and she is a part of it, is that I am planning on eventually launching Unlearn and Unleash program, and Kara is supporting me by showing up and by sharing her experiences and letting me know what I can do to make this a bombastic space. So this is going to be a course or a mastermind. I'm still figuring it out. But then, if this is made for women in their 30s in leadership and HR positions and in L&D positions, and if you are in a space where you need to unlearn, you are aware that there are some limiting beliefs that exist, some of those things that are stopping you, pulling you down, and you need support with it, and you need to unlearn those limiting beliefs and unleash your inner goddess, beast, whatever you want to unleash, whatever you want to unleash, honestly. uh, Reach out to me, because I would love to have a conversation with you and see what I can do to make this a bombastic space. Yeah, reach out to me. I am dropping my connections. Like, reach out to me on Instagram, best spot, and we can have a conversation. And if the concept of unlearn and unleash is hyping you up as much as it is hyping me up, reach out to me, because I would love to have a chat and see what we can do together.